Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Battle Through the Heavens 2. Rebirth of Emperor Yang Part 11 based on novel. So let's start. One night passed in the blink of an eye. The next morning, as soon as the sun appeared in the morning, the whole Qingyang city was noisy. The people in the streets were rolling. Even outside the city gate, there were big waves of people gathering in the direction of Qingyang city. If you look carefully, you will find that although these people seem to be coming towards Qingyang city, walking around Qingyang city, but if you pay attention, you can find that these people are gathering in the same direction. There is the most prosperous street in Qingyang city and the most central section of Qingyang city. There is an auction house called Tianyun Auction House, which is controlled by Tianyun Chamber of Commerce, the largest chamber of commerce in southwest China. It's a real giant existence. Its forces are all over the southwest region. Its strength is terrible. Even the 4 major forces in the southwest region dare not easily provoke it, and its money is unimaginable. I'm afraid even the savings of any of the 4 forces over the years can't be compared with it. Financial resources and strength. If Tianyun Chamber of Commerce had no intention of competing for the position of overlord in southwest China, I'm afraid the 4 Trump forces in southwest China would have become the history of Yuanwu mainland. It can be seen that the strength of Tianyun Chamber of Commerce is terrible. No wonder so many people would come to pay attention to even its small auction. Liu Fu. Xiao Yan's body sitting on the bed flashed and disappeared. He stood in front of the wooden door of the room and stretched out his hand to open the wooden door. Outside the room, Liu Huabai also stood in front of Xiao Yan's door. He was about to reach out his right hand to knock on the door, but the wooden door in front of him suddenly opened. Liu Huabai was surprised and jumped unconsciously. He stepped back half a step, but saw Xiao Yang standing in the door. Liu Huabai reacted and quickly smiled and said to Xiao Yang, "Hee, have you got up? That's good. I'll take you to see my annual auction in Qingyang city. Maybe you don't like many things, but as long as you go, it will give face to Tianyun Chamber of Commerce, which is also good for my Liu family, so..." Well, I said I would go. Let's go and let me see if the Tianyun Chamber of Commerce really has such a big face. Liu Huabai wanted to say something, but he was interrupted by Xiao Yan. He walked out directly and walked outside Liu's house. Liu Huabai quickly followed him and walked with Xiao Yang. By the way, he also explained some strength background of Tianyun Chamber of Commerce to Xiao Yang. However, because Qingyang city is remote, Liu Huabai also knows little about Tianyun Chamber of Commerce. I only know that Tianyun Chamber of Commerce came to this southwest region 200 years ago. Although it took a short time, it developed rapidly and has a deep foundation. Even compared with some old forces, it makes Xiao Yang slightly pick his eyebrow and write it down silently. He can't help paying less attention to such a force. You know, even if people as strong as Liu Feng died and fell under the joint efforts of those old forces, since Tianyun Chamber of Commerce can only stand for 200 years, it must have some good strength. Therefore, it is not wrong to be valued by Xiao Yang. While they were talking, they had already arrived at the gate of Liu's house. The elder of Liu's family and others had already waited in front of the door for Xiao Yang and Liu Huabai to arrive. Outside the door, there was a well-prepared and richly decorated carriage. The horse pulling the carriage was a reddish-brown 7-step warcraft foal, which was rare in the wild, because most of them are tamed by humans and used as a means of transportation, and because this horse has weak attack power, it is also difficult to survive in the wild. Therefore, all the wise Lai Yang foal will come to the textile market of humans to seek a good master to ensure survival. At the moment, the Lai Yang foal in front of Xiao Yang was accepted by Liu Huabai at the beginning of the 6th stage. Liu Huabai is loyal to Liu Huabai, and Liu Huabai also takes care of him. If it were not for a big man, Liu Huabai decided not to sacrifice him, but at the moment, the scorching sun foal used by Liu Huabai is usually arrogant. At the moment, Liu Huabai trembles all over, just like seeing some wild beast, which surprised Liu Huabai. You know, this fierce sun foal glared at a strong fighter a few years ago, but now it shows such fear to see Xiao Yang. Is it? Thinking of this, Liu Huabai's pupil suddenly shrinks, and his eyes to Xiao Yang are full of shock. If Xiao Yan is that kind of strength, then his Liu family really has the hope to become one of the many forces in the southwest region. Xiao Yan glanced at the shivering sunfall in front of him, slightly picked his eyelids, turned his head helplessly and said to Liu Huabai, "It seems that I can't take your carriage." Liu Huabai was shocked when he heard the speech. He just wanted to say something, but he saw that Xiao Yan had turned and walked towards the auction house, leaving him only a slightly thin back and the trembling sunfall. A moment later, Xiao Yan and Liu Huabai led the Liu family to the entrance of the auction house. The crowded crowd did not live up to the grand auction. Waves of crowded people continued to go to the front door of the auction house. Although many strong men stopped in front of the auction house, they still couldn't be completely blocked. The front door of the auction house was still in chaos. After seeing Liu Huabai and others, people in Qingyang City were surprised at the Liu family's defeat of the Wu family in the past half a month. Although it was said that the Liu family had a powerful person to help and directly crush the Wu family with strong strength, which made the Wu family all unpopular. They were directly killed on the spot, but no one has seen the powerful man. After all, who dares to show up in such a battle of life and death? If a person can't be regarded as someone who wants to make a profit, he will lose his life. It's not worth losing his life in order to see a war. There are no such people in Qingyang City. Nowadays, people in Qingyang City are surprised to see that the people of the Liu family have mobilized so many people for an auction. All kinds of talk spread on both sides of the street. Some of them noticed Xiao Yang standing in line with the owner of the Liu family and the elder of the Liu family. At that time, the noise in front of the whole auction house was remembered. Liu Huabai, the leader of the Liu family, frowned when he saw this. He looked at the elder with the same face on one side. Just when he wanted to yell, he was preempted by another voice like a bear roaring. "Shut up! Get out of the way! You're in the way of Master Liu and Elder Liu. Get away from me if you don't want to die." Xiao Yang smelled the speech and looked at the source of the sound. The owner of the sound was a middle-aged man with a face full of flesh, a bald head, a scar on his face, tall and burly, who looked like a wild bear. Under his perception, the strength of the middle-aged man was quite strong here, with the strength of the 9-star dozo. At the moment, the middle-aged man was looking at the passers-by with a cruel look on his face. He gave a cold hum in his nasal cavity, and everyone kept silent. Then he pushed his face to Liu Huabai and others. With the scar on his face, he looked terrible. Liu Huabai and other Liu people were comfortable, but when Xiao Yang saw it, there was a violent convulsion in the corners of his mouth. This smile is really unmatched. With his terrible smile, I'm afraid even a person with the same strength as him will have to reduce his strength by 20% out of thin air. The expression on Xiao Yang's face was naturally seen by the strong man. He just wanted to be angry, but Liu Huabai stopped it first. Liu Huabai took a big step forward and smiled at the middle-aged man. "Ha ha! Brother Xiao Man, I haven't seen you for a long time. Ha ha ha! Huh?" The middle-aged man called Xiao Man by Liu Huabai frowned, making the scar on his face twist like a maggot, looking rather disgusting. Xiao Man looked at Liu Huabai with an impatient look, but he saw the deep fold between Liu Huabai's eyebrows and his head shaking gently left and right, and his pupils shrank slightly. Liu Huabai is so sure that he won't joke with himself for no reason. I'm afraid the young man around him is not ordinary, isn't it? It seems that Xiao Man suddenly thought of something. He opened his eyes and looked at Liu Huabai, but saw Liu Huabai nodding slightly. Xiao Man suddenly woke up. Then the next moment, Xiao Man piled up a face of flesh again and threw a terrible smile at Liu Huabai and others, especially when he looked at Xiao Yang, but when Xiao Yang saw it, there was a violent twitch in the corners of his mouth. He didn't speak. He forced a smile from the corners of his mouth and replied to Xiao Man. Xiao Man didn't care either. He came forward with a big stride with a laugh and talked with Liu Huabai. Then he looked at Xiao Yang, arched his hands and said with a laugh, "You must be the senior expert who helped the Liu family defeat the Wu family and become the first family in Qingyang City." Xiao Yang smiled slightly and glanced at Liu Huabai from the corner of his eye, which made Liu Huabai smile awkwardly. Then he looked at Xiao Man and said, Yes, I am entrusted to help the Liu family have a place in this southwest region. As soon as these words came out, all the people who heard these words were shocked, and their faces became wonderful in an instant. Even the faces of the Liu family showed a touch of dignity. Even if Xiao Yan was an elder, he was so brazen that he didn't pay attention to the people in the southwest. Only Liu Huabai ignored the expressions on the faces of all the family members and looked at Xiao Yan calmly. Xiao Man also raised his eyebrows when he heard the speech. He could have a place in the southwest region. It's simple to say and can be done. If he doesn't have a certain background, I'm afraid that saying this will doom your life and death. But since he dares to say such exaggerated words in front of him, what's more, it must not be unnecessary to boast so much in front of the people of Qianyun Chamber of Commerce. Xiao Man's eyes turned and he immediately bowed his hands to Xiao Yang and laughed, saying, "Master, you're really energetic. I'm sure the Liu family will be taken care of by the master in the future. I don't want to say that you can have a place in the southwest. I'm afraid it's nothing to say if you can become a top force. Congratulations to Master Liu. It seems that I need more care from Master Liu in the future." As the bears spoke, Liu Huabai, who also turned his head, said to Liu Huabai with a terrible smile. Liu Huabai frowned and was just ready to answer, but Xiao Yang took the lead. Xiao Yang smiled and replied without looking back. Become the top force in southwest China? It depends on the luck of the Liu family. In short, as long as he doesn't destroy the Liu family, let's do it by himself. If someone wants to destroy the Liu family, I don't mind. Let him try to be killed. As soon as Xiao Yang's voice fell, a cold light burst out of his eyes, tearing the space in front of Xiao Man and disappearing into the void. Xiao Man also changed his face in an instant and quickly bowed to Xiao Yang. Yes? The elder has great powers. Who would dare to offend the Liu family without long eyes? Please rest assured. I will live in Qingyang City in the future and build Qingyang City with the Liu family leader. If anyone dares to offend the Liu family, I Xiao Man will be the first to spare him. At last, Xiao Man patted Liu Huabai on the shoulder in order to express his position, which made Liu Huabai scold for a while, but he also grinned with Liu Huabai in spite of the pain. Liu Huabai naturally knew that Xiao Yang was preparing for his departure. Unexpectedly, after Xiao Yang left, the strength of the Liu family was greatly damaged. Even if there was that gold inscription plaque, it must be difficult to support the whole family in the short term. If someone can take the initiative to help the Liu family at this time, the trouble of the Liu family will be much less in the future, which is also good for the development of the Liu family in the future. Therefore, although it is painful, it is worth it compared with the future of the family. They talked for a long time in front of the auction house. Finally, a deafening bell rang in their ears. Xiao Man reacted. It was clear that everyone came to the auction, but he stayed outside the auction house because of Xiao Yang. This also made Xiao Man feel a little embarrassed. He scratched his head and smiled at Xiao Yang and others. Ha ha ha. I forgot about the auction when I talked with Master Xiao Yang today. I'm really sorry, everyone, ha ha ha. Let's go. After the auction today, I'll invite Master Xiao Yang to have dinner with you to make up for my mistake today, okay? Ha ha ha. Master Xiao Yang, please. Ha ha ha. Then Xiao Man brought Xiao Yang and the Liu family into the auction house. As soon as they entered the auction house, their sight suddenly darkened. It was pitch black in all directions, and the walls and floors inside the auction house were pitch black. Under the view of Xiao Yang's soul power, the walls and floors in the auction house are all built with inkstone, and from some visible lines on the ground and walls, I'm afraid the auction house is cast with a whole piece of inkstone. Tut tut, you can use a whole piece of inkstone to build an auction house in such a place. The financial resources of the Chamber of Commerce are terrible. Xiao Yang and others followed Xiao Man all the way, turning left and right, and came to a dark stone gate. Xiao Man came to the stone gate one step ago and put his palm on the stone gate. The fighting spirit in his body ran to the center of his palm. The fighting spirit was continuously injected into the stone gate. The stone gate was also slowly opened in a roar, and a private room of more than 100 square meters appeared in front of everyone. Xiao Yan gave a hearty laugh and turned aside to let Xiao Yan enter first, and then he entered one after another with Liu Huabai and others. After entering, Liu Huabai looked at the walls with faint soft light on all sides, the smooth white ground, and the rows of seats that looked very comfortable. Liu Huabai couldn't help but sigh. Tut tut, people are different. The treatment is very different. Every time I come, I'm an intermediate private room. I didn't expect that the elder just came at random, knew ready before he asked. Hey, Xiao Yan, it seems that you've planned to curry favor with Elder Xiao for a long time. Xiao Yan smelled the speech and grinned. His face was full of flesh. Xiao Yan was not surprised. He first found a seat and sat down. Then the people also sat down. Xiao Yan didn't sit down. Instead, he walked to the wall that was emitting light fluorescence in front of the people, and his fighting spirit surged out again. Xiao Yan's eyebrows were slightly picked. He saw that the wall originally emitting light fluorescence began to become crystal clear at the moment. The ripples like water waves spread out, making the whole wall look very mysterious. A moment later, a crystal screen appeared in front of everyone. Behind the screen, there was a wide auction house. At the moment, the auction house was full of seats, and bursts of noise rang through the auction house, making the whole auction house very noisy. The crisp sound of bells singing slowly rang through the auction house. With the bell ringing, the originally noisy noise in the venue gradually weakened, and countless eyes turned to the crystal stage. Until this time, Xiao Yan's strong figure turned around and sat on the position left to him by Xiao Yan. He looked at the auctioneer on the crystal stage with everyone. He, you must have been impatient. In that case, I won't say more official words to annoy you. The white-haired old man in Chinese clothes looked at the dark head in the auction house with a smile. Finally, his vague eyes swept over the power representatives from other cities sitting in the front row. His loud voice echoed endlessly in the scene. As an experienced auctioneer, he naturally knows clearly what the following people want to see and don't want to see. Therefore, he threw away the old nonsense introduction of the opening ceremony 9 days away. However, it is true that the old man's skill did win a burst of applause in the hall. At least, even the representatives of the forces sitting in the front row nodded slightly. As an annual auction, I think our Tianyun auction house will definitely not disappoint you this time when it selects Qingyang City as the main auction place among many cities this year. As soon as the old man's voice fell, he patted his palm again and said in a loud voice, I announce that Qingyang Tianyun auction will start now. As the old man's voice fell, the huge crystal platform suddenly burst into dazzling strong light, until after a long time, the strong light gradually dissipated. On the crystal stage at the moment, I can see a long green light blue sword in front of the white-haired old man. Under the light, it reflects a very cold and bright luster. Looking at the energy traces on the sword body, it is obvious that the power of this sword must be good, and it must be from a famous hand. At the moment, everyone under the stage suddenly brightened up, and the white-haired old man was obviously very satisfied with the results. A satisfied smile appeared on his wrinkled old face, and a pair of cloudy old eyes narrowed into a thin line. Looking at the crowd below, the old man slowly opened his mouth and said, This sword is called Blue Water and Orchid Sword. It is made of blue water and green gold. It cuts iron like mud. It has the ability to enter the water without being visible in the water. It is very suitable for water friars. If it is combined with high-level water fighting skills, its power will double. It is a rare weapon. If you are interested, don't save the money in your pocket. Money should be measured by strength quantity. With strength and money, isn't it like dirt? He. The old man also held the blue water Yulan sword in his hand. The sword body shook and a ripple like water spread around the sword body. The old man waved to the void with his other hand, and the water vapor in the air turned into drops of water. In the old man's hand, it would be squeezed into a water ball the size of a football. With a wave of his palm, the water ball immediately spread out, covering the whole sword body. In a twinkling, the blue water Yulan sword disappeared under the sight of everyone. There was a sudden uproar in the field. The hot eyes of the people turned to the white-haired old man standing on the crystal platform. The old man also knew the meaning of their eyes, smiled and said in a loud voice, "The reserve price is 500,000 gold coins, please. Blue water, green gold. It's good." Xiao Yan looked at the long sword and whispered low, but he didn't arouse any interest. When his strength reached his level, weapons were not so important. What's more, he was used to the wide opening and closing of Xian Heavy Ruler. When attacking, it was too far away. After all, this is the beginning of the auction. Good things should be in the back. Of course, because of Xiao Yang's vision, he doesn't like these things, but it doesn't mean that others don't like them. This sword has become a rare weapon in the eyes of many water friars. Therefore, as soon as the voice of the white-haired old man fell, there were a lot of bidding voices in the auction house. "Congratulations, brother, 15 million. Take the blue water and orchid sword." The competitive bidding was very fierce, which also made the atmosphere in the auction market improve rapidly. After the first bidding lasted for several minutes, the blue water and orchid sword was finally auctioned and sold at a high price of 15 million by a slightly emaciated man in blue. Xiao Yan shook his head and threw out more than 10 million yuan with a sword. How stupid the monk must be. It's better to buy some cultivation resources than to buy a sword. The price of the first round was very fast and short. After all, the sword was not suitable for all monks, so there were not many auctioneers. After several rounds of competition, one round of auction came down, and the auction was in the middle stage. Finally, it was the turn of those sitting in the front row. As soon as the auction objects in this round came on, they attracted the attention of the whole audience. It was a pill, and the rank reached 7. It was a 7-grade primary broken sect pill, which could increase the chance that the strong at the peak of the fighting emperor would break through the fighting sect by half, which made everyone excited in an instant. Many friars who stayed at the peak of the fighting emperor had scarlet eyes, stared at the pill in the jade bottle on the stage, and almost rushed up to grab it. Even the Liu family, who has been sitting quietly in the senior private room, is looking at the old man on the stage with bright eyes. Just waiting for him to say the reserve price, Xiao Yan looks at this but turns his mouth and shakes his head constantly, which makes Liu Huabai smile awkwardly. There is no alternative. Who makes the Liu family the strongest will fight the sect. At the moment, Xiao Man also looked carefully at the broken Zongdan, saluted Xiao Yang and walked out of the private room. Soon, under the auspices of the white-haired old man, a new round of bidding finally began. The reserve price of this broken Zongdan is 5 million gold coins. The old man with white hair looked at the people under the stage and said in a not light but not heavy tone. But as soon as he said this, except for the few people sitting in the front row and a few very few people, the whole auction house was silent in an instant, but the old man with white hair still looked at the people under the stage with a smile and said nothing. After Xiao Man killed several monks who tried to forcibly rob, everyone understood that the rest of the play belonged to those big forces. Soon, this round of competition finally began. 20 million. The first one who asked for the price was a man in white sitting in the front row. He was the son of the city lord in the city nearest to Qingyang City. His name was Morbei. He was arrogant and domineering. He once forcibly seized a truck of the Liu family out of the field, but due to his father, the Liu family finally let it go. After Morbei, there were many people shouting for the price. The price of this 7-grade broken Zongdan was even mentioned as 70 million, and the owner of this price is Morbei. Liu Huabai also offered several prices during the period. As long as he spoke, they found that there were people in the high-level box that had not been opened for a long time. However, Mo Bei smiled coldly when he heard Liu Huabai's voice, and the originally slightly wrinkled eyebrows were also a little ironic. Finally, the price of Mo Bei is higher, and Liu Huabai is also pressed down by the high price. Liu Huabai's face was as gloomy as water. He took a deep breath as if he had made up his mind. Liu Huabai got up again, looked out of the screen and shouted, 100 ling coins. Mo Bei heard the speech, his pupils suddenly shrunk, stopped talking, and sat back down bitterly. As soon as Liu Huabai said this, the whole audience was quiet. Even the Liu family sitting behind Liu Huabai was momentarily dull. Only Xiao Yan looked at the crowd strangely. For a long time, the white-haired old man on the stage came back, knocked the auction table in front of him with a wooden hammer, and said in a loud voice, "Liu Huabai, the master of the Liu family, gives 100 ling coins once, but there are still higher prices." The whole audience suddenly woke up, and the originally silent auction house suddenly became noisy, just like a vegetable market that had just opened. Behind Liu Huabai, the elders of the Liu family stood up one after another and glared at Liu Huabai with their eyes. However, because Xiao Yan was here, they didn't scold. They just stared at Liu Huabai with angry eyes. Liu Huabai was still calm. Even at the exit of 100 yuan, they still looked at the broken Zongdan and waited for the white-haired old man to make a final decision. A moment later, the white-haired old man smiled at the monks in the auction house, fell down with a wooden hammer, and said in a loud voice, "Liu Huabai, the leader of the Liu family, produced 100 spirit coins and photographed the 7 great broken Zongdan. Congratulations to Liu family leader. With 100 spirit coins, he obtained 7 great broken Zongdan." As soon as the wooden hammer fell, only a dull bang was heard. The hammer fell and the tone was fixed. The voice of the white-haired old man was also introduced into the ears of Liu Huabai and others. Liu Huabai sat on the seat expressionless, while the other elders of the Liu family, except the elder Liu Xincheng, all looked depressed, gave a sigh and sat down on the seat. When the white-haired old man on the crystal stage took out an auction item again, the people in the private room looked at the screen again. The white-haired old man took out a cloak and introduced the magic of the cloak to the people again. Xiao Yang just glanced at it and ignored it. He turned to look at Liu Huabai. Liu Huabai didn't dare to slow down because he felt the eyes from Xiao Yang. He turned to look at Xiao Yang respectfully and asked, "I don't know if you have any questions, or do you think you like this cloak? If so, I'll help you take it down immediately." Then he turned his head and looked at the cloak, while Xiao Yang turned his mouth and asked Liu Huabai to turn his head. Xiao Yang looked at Liu Huabai's puzzled eyes, smiled and nodded, which made him curious and asked, "I said, what is the spirit coin you just used to auction Po Zongdan? Tell me." Liu Huabai raised his eyebrows when he heard the speech. He couldn't help but frown. His expression was a little strange. He looked at Xiao Yan like an alien and asked, "Elder, you don't even know what spirit coin is?" Xiao Yan heard that his pupils shrank slightly and his face changed slightly. He was stunned for a moment and his eyes turned. Then he continued, "I've been practicing in the mountains in the past. Although I've come out, it's really the first time I've heard of this spiritual coin. So tell me about it. Let me see what the spiritual coin does. When I have a chance in the future, I'll have millions of people to play with it." Liu Huabai felt a twitch in the corner of his mouth. "Master Xiao Yang, even if your strength reaches the level of fighting saint, what do you think of spirit coins? Millions? With the accumulation of the Liu family for hundreds of years and the Wu family you destroyed once before, the two families add up to only 20 or 30,000. Your opening is millions. I'm afraid you can't rob so much even if you rob." Liu Huabai didn't say these words, and he didn't dare to say them. Xiao Yang had warned him very clearly before. If he had to export at this time, which words would make him unhappy? If Xiao Yang wanted to kill him, it would be a slap in the face. Therefore, after a little thought, Liu Huabai organized the language and explained to Xiao Yang. The spirit coin is the real common currency on the road. Different from the gold coin, the spirit coin is made of the spirit of the earth in the earth vein and the spirit stone condensed for many years. A spirit coin is equivalent to 100,000 gold coins, but no one is willing to exchange the spirit coin for gold coins. After all, the gold coin is only secular money, which is worthless for the real strong. The spirit stone is a kind of energy crystal stone rich in extremely pure heaven and earth energy. It can be used for friars to cultivate faster. It is a good cultivation resource. Moreover, the spirit stone can also be used as the energy source of some arrays to support the operation of arrays. Of course, there are 3 levels of Lingsha: low level, intermediate level, and high level. The level of Lingsha is different, and the amount of heaven and earth energy contained in it is also different from the purity of energy. However, there are also some extremely rare top-grade spirit stones that can be directly absorbed and refined by monks to improve their strength. However, the rarity of this kind of spirit stone is no less than some extinct magic drugs, which is extremely difficult to meet. Even if someone encounters it accidentally, it is necessary to quickly absorb and refine, because once some strong people know that someone has the top-grade spirit stone, it will be difficult to meet, but you will really be killed. After all, as the saying goes, every man is innocent and bears his sins. Therefore, this makes the best spirit stones on the mainland more rare. Whenever the best spirit stones appear, it will cause a bloody storm. Hearing this, Xiao Yan also gradually understood the use of spirit coins. Spirit coins are not comparable to gold coins. No wonder Liu Huabai only spent 100 spirit coins. The elders of the Liu family were so angry. Xiao Yang took a deep breath, turned his head and continued to look at the hot atmosphere in the auction house. At the moment, the white-haired old man was smiling at the people under the stage, and his eyes swept the senior private room where Xiao Yang and others were from time to time. After a long time, he slowly stretched out his palm in the impatient eyes of the people. In the palm of his hand, a jade box with a large palm lay quietly. Everyone under the stage frowned. It seems that there are medicinal materials in it. This kind of thing is only attractive to pharmacists. For them, the probability is too slim. The white-haired old man ignored the expression changes on the faces of the people, but stretched out his palm and gently opened the cover of the jade box, in which a scarlet fruit stood still. In an instant, the auction house suddenly became noisy. Almost everyone except anti-inflammatory stared at the vermilion fruit in the jade box. Xiao Yang still just looked at the vermilion fruit and didn't pay much attention to it. He sat in a chair and took a nap, which made Liu Huabai and others look very embarrassed. At this time, the white-haired old man was smiling and looked at the people sitting below with satisfaction. After a long time, he said with a smile, "He, you must be no stranger to this Shu Guo." He, yes, this Shu Guo is the red fire Shu Guo. As soon as this remark was made, the people below were in an uproar. Red fire and red fruit are the most attractive heaven and earth elixir for them. Red fire vermilion fruit grows in the depths of the volcano and absorbs the flame power in the volcano to help yourself grow. Red fire vermilion fruit can convert the absorbed flame power into extremely pure heaven and earth energy and store it in the vermilion fruit. When the Dohuang or Dozong strongman takes red fire vermilion fruit at the time of breakthrough, he can directly break through the bottleneck and improve his strength. Moreover, if he is lucky, it can also break through again with the help of its violent energy. It can be said to be the most precious thing in the hearts of Dohuang strongmen and Dozong strongmen. In the audience, all the people were excited and stared at the red fire Zhu fruit in the jade box on the white-haired old man's hand. The white-haired old man also showed a satisfied smile on his face again. His eyes swept the whole audience, slowly opened his mouth in the hot eyes of all the people, and said in a loud voice, "The owner of the 400-year-old red fire vermilion fruit said that it can only be exchanged for spirit coins. The reserve price is 10 spirit coins." Without hesitation, people in the audience immediately shouted, 20 spirit coins. That's also interesting. I'll give you 50 ling coins. 100 spirit coins. The fierce bidding sound under the stage also made Xiao Yang, who was sleeping with his eyes narrowed slightly, slowly opened his slightly bleary eyes, raised his eyebrows slightly, looked at the fierce bidding screen in front of him, smiled at the corners of his mouth, closed his bleary eyes again and fell asleep. This round of auction lasted for a long time and lasted for more than 10 minutes. Finally, the red fire Zhu fruit was pocketed by Nabei at the high price of 3,000 ling coins. Even Liu Huabai was defeated in the end and had no choice but to sit back in his seat. Chiwozu fruit was taken by Mo Bei. The white-haired old man swept the audience with smiling eyes and said again, "You must have got what you want today. Of course, it doesn't matter if you don't get it, because it's also clear in the next time. It's your own exchange time. As long as you don't do it, Aiqianyun auction house won't interfere. Then, I'll leave it to you." Next, I announce that this year's genuine auction is here. Slow? Huh? The sound was slow, but the whole audience was shocked. Everyone looked at the sound source. A bald man with a tall and burly face and a scar like a maggot on his face was walking towards the center of the crystal platform step by step, and the sound of "slow" was shouted from his mouth. The white-haired old man saluted the bear and shouted respectfully, "President." Xiao Yan nodded, went to the center of the crystal platform, turned and looked at the people under the platform. At today's auction, I'm going to help an elder and shoot some more things. You have no opinion. You can rest assured that the things that the elder asked me to help auction are things that you are not qualified to see in normal times. Today, the elder is in a good mood and wants you to gradually see the world. Would you like to? Oh. By the way, like those red fire and red fruits, hey. Buy it's just a piece of garbage. Wow. As soon as he said this, the whole audience was in an uproar. Mo Bei, who was in the front row, also stood up with a hot face and asked Xiao Yan. In that case, when will President Xiao Yan start the auction? Ha ha. Well, I announce that the follow-up auction will continue. Remember, the next things can only be auctioned with spirit coins. Wow. There was an uproar again. This video will end here.